What if as a design engineer, you could have a contractor sitting next to you giving you input on how practical and constructible your design will be? It'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Well, in this episode of the Civil Engineering CEO, I'm thrilled to have with me April Barkasi. April is a licensed professional engineer. She is the CEO and founder of CEG, and it's a design build firm. And she's going to talk about what that means, the benefits that it offers to her professionals within the firm, that kind of ability to talk to these other disciplines under one roof, and also, of course, some of the challenges. And she also talks about how having a vision for yourself can make it easy to live it out through both work activities, extracurricular activities, and personal activities as well. It's an awesome episode filled with hopefully information that you can use in your civil engineering career. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Check out Tensar Plus, the award-winning design software for construction professionals to design with geosynthetics and calculate their value on projects. Tensar Plus is simple to use with a powerful engineering system at its core. It leverages our decades of research and experience with soils all over the world, so you can count on your solutions working the first time, even in the most difficult conditions. Whether you're designing a crane pad or need to build a temporary road over muck, the cost, time, and carbon savings can be calculated, making comparison with alternatives simple. Specs, reports, and product data can be generated for your design, and training resources, research, and our third-party expert reviews are all provided conveniently in the software if needed. Usable both online and offline, the app is available in browser and on all major mobile platforms. Whatever you're working on, Tensar Plus is your toolbox for success.
All right, now I'd like to welcome our guest onto the show for today. April Barkasi is a licensed professional engineer, president and CEO of CEDARVILLE Engineering Group, LLC. April, welcome to the Civil Engineering CEO.
Thank you, Anthony. I'm happy to be here.
So, April, let's start off by telling us a little bit about the company, where you're located, the type of work that you do, and then we'll get, of course, into a little bit more into you specifically. But start with the company and tell us about the company.
Sure. CEDARVILLE Engineering Group, or branded CEG, is a civil and environmental design build company serving the public sector and focusing on infrastructure. We're located in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, as well as Tampa, Florida. And we have lots of clients that are both on local level, state level, and on federal government level.
Awesome. This time of year, I'd probably prefer the Tampa office, but, you know.
Yeah, well.
So tell us a little bit about your background, how you kind of got to where you are today, a little bit about your career journey, if you will.
Sure. I started out as a young, fresh-faced civil engineer working in stormwater management. Really, that was my specialty. Worked for a very small boutique firm. Learned a lot about design, a lot about project management, a lot about client management because, as I mentioned, it was a very small firm. So we had to wear many hats and do a lot of different parts of the job. My journey went through consulting and ultimately wound up at a firm where I was leading the municipal services division of the company. And that company went out of business as a result of a series of financial mishaps during the downturn, right after the downturn of 2008. So that's when I launched CEDARVILLE Engineering Group, and then that was 2010 when I started the business, and been leading the group since then. And now we're over 50 professionals and working all along the Mid-Atlantic states, in the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow, good for you.
Thank you.
Good for you. That's awesome. I mean, that's a large number of people to, lead and to build a company like that. So congratulations. I know kind of what goes into that. That's awesome. So you referred to it earlier. It says it on your website as well that you're a design build firm. Tell us what that means. How would you describe that to someone?
Well, we can take an infrastructure project or an environmental project all the way from conception through completion and even maintenance. So I have geospatial professionals, surveyors, licensed surveyors. I have engineers who are designers. I have environmental compliance and permitting specialists who are here and get us through the application process and permitting process. And then I have contractors on staff, superintendents, laborers, and construction project management to self-perform horizontal work. We're very specific and know who we are. We are based in the civil and environmental field, so we do horizontal infrastructure work. So we can take a project from a thought, a problem, a challenge for a client through an entire comprehensive solution.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm glad you explained it. I do think that the term design build sometimes can be a little bit scary for people because, there's a lot obviously that goes into designing and building something. But I think what it speaks to is, being able to manage and lead a staff with different professionals, right? Designers, contractors, like you mentioned, talk a little bit about that experience for you as a leader. Like, how is it when you have these different disciplines under one roof, if you will?
It's a challenge. We have, certainly a bunch of different personality types. You do even amongst, a specialty within a firm, but we have a culture of collaboration. And then sometimes that has been a challenge because we're not always speaking the same language. Designers have typically been in a vacuum. They design something, they put it on paper, they spit it out to a contractor outside of the firm, and maybe you get some RFIs back. But what we try to do to be different, to really provide that solution for our clients, is have our construction team integrated in the design process early on. And that has been a game changer for us. It was a little awkward at first because not anyone on the team had gone through this before. It was always these separate and disparate processes, and often cause some kind of collision. You've all been on a construction site where they can't build what's on the paper. They go back to the engineer. Then there's this blame. Well, it's one team here. We are one financial center, so there is not a separate P&L for each group. We rise and fall together, and so that spirit of collaboration, the responsibility and accountability, lies on all of us. And so most of our projects are multidisciplinary and involves one person at least from each of our core aspects: geospatial, engineering, environmental, and construction. So it's definitely a challenge, but it really does provide that solution package for our clients.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's almost like you can use the modern term of like a hack, where like, just think about a design engineer. When I was designing and I worked in stormwater as well, if I had the ability to talk to a contractor at the design stage, it'd be a game changer, right? Because like, you design this whole thing and then you go out in the field and they're trying to build it, and the contractor's like, how the heck am I going to fit 3 pipes into one catch basin? It doesn't work like this. This isn't like a line on AutoCAD. This is the actual pipe trying to fit in, right?
That's exactly right.
Right. So having like that constructability review or that perspective when you're designing is pretty much invaluable. And not only is it invaluable to the project and the client, but I think to the development of a design professional, it's invaluable because they can start to learn how to think like a contractor, in the long term.
Yeah. Some of my early experiences as a civil engineer, the most valuable experiences I had were on construction sites as being the on-site engineer. And making those mistakes that you speak of, drawing the lines into a manhole and having the contractor laugh at me because my design was unbuildable. And so that value is, it saves us time and efficiency. We're accountable to each other, but it also saves our clients time and money. We've done some pilot studies on taking projects from that design bid build situation, because as municipal engineers, we still have a lot of design bid build, and so we have other contractor prices. And what it would have cost us if we had kept everything in-house and was able to follow through, and it was still accountable to the client because we have a relationship and we want to be there 40 years from now, and so that system better work. We've discovered that the savings for our client is anywhere from 8 to 28%. And if you think about the scale of the projects that you can work on, and we generally stay in a scale of basically $500,000 to $5 million as our infrastructure projects, And those percentages add up. And, since we're using public dollars and we're accountable to the voters, the constituents, whoever the public entity is, we can say with confidence that we're saving you money through this process. And we're still accountable because my license or any of my other PE on staff, their licenses are involved, as well as our bonding company is very interested in the success of our projects as well.
Yeah, good point. So if you're doing design build, for those of you not familiar with it, you have contractors on the staff. You have to have a company to bond or kind of back those projects from a financial perspective, which is important. And I just want to explain for those listeners that aren't familiar, and April, you can clarify or correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're talking about design bid build, right, you're designing a project, let's say for municipality, you then they're bidding it out for multiple contractors to bid on constructing the project, and then they'll ultimately select one of those contractors. And then you'll have the designer and the contractor that would have to work together in some capacity. Whereas with the design build scenario, which you explained up front with your organization, where you might have everything under one roof, the bidding part can kind of get cut out, and you can actually do the design and the construction of the project all in one, with one team, with one organization, correct?
That's correct. And that's probably the most succinct explanation I've ever heard. So I may borrow that to explain it to our clients as well.
There you go. All right, so let's talk a little bit about growing a company in this industry. We all know right now the AEC industry is booming. There's infrastructure funding. There's lots of projects going on, which is exciting. But the challenge in growing an organization, of course, is trying to acquire talent and trying to hire the right people and try to kind of grow firms. So, in this competitive landscape, especially when you have to compete with maybe equity or private equity-backed firms, how does CEG attract and retain top talent in the civil engineering field?
One way is to be a design build firm in a true sense. We are attracting professionals who want to see their work come to fruition. So I can say the word culture, but I think it really is a drive about who we are and how we provide solutions. So we're a little different. As we've talked about design build, typically a design build firm has a partner that is a contractor, and so that's still an outside organization. But because we have it all in-house, we offer something a little different to our employees, our team members, so they can see that they're part of a full package of solutions. Engineers, environmental scientists, surveyors, construction professionals, they're problem solvers. They don't attack different problems and may have different solutions or methods, but they generally are in this firm to see things happen. And so I think that is, by providing something different, has been a way to attract. Now, a way to retain, there's culture. Our firm really never dispersed for COVID. We were an essential, deemed essential, and our office was closed for 1 week. And we didn't require everybody to come in. Everybody had the opportunity to work remotely even before COVID. But because our office was open, a lot of people came in just to act normal. So that kind of respite or that culture of collaboration really built a solid foundation. But I can say all those things. What it comes down to is a lot of money to hold talent. Because of the talent war, we have had to spend a lot more money on salaries and benefits, and that's just reality. And it cuts into our profit margins. It's been a real challenge for us. We are growing. We have tremendous opportunity in each one of our market sectors, but we are limited. Our growth is limited because of that. So I haven't found the solution entirely. Certainly there's the SBA has growth funding, and we've taken advantage of some of those things. But ultimately, we just set ourselves apart, and then we have to compete with those salaries. Nobody's going to stay for 10 or 20% less. That's
right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I do think, just thinking about it a little bit, and if I would have tried to answer that question before you just and took a guess at it, I definitely would think of the design build opportunities for engineers, because I agree that, I became a civil engineer myself because I wanted to work on something that I could see built. And I think when you're not on a design build project, the project could get built like 5 years later, right? That you may never actually see it happen. And I've seen that happen a lot. But I think also the other advantage of working in a firm like yours, which we already talked about, is the ability to get the contractor perspective at the design phase and the ability for you as a design professional to learn that perspective yourself. Because, the contractor may not be sitting next to you forever as a design engineer, but as you build more of that contractor awareness and construction awareness and knowledge, it's just going to help you to be a better professional, like overall in your career. So I definitely think that that's a huge advantage in one's career. And if I was a younger civil engineer starting my career again, I would love to work in a firm where you could get that experience, because I was lucky enough to start as a surveyor in the field. And that allowed me, when I got into the office as a designer, to understand like how things were put together.
That's a huge benefit. And if you know anybody who's looking, please send them my way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you'll get a lot of people watching this, so maybe that'll help. So let's talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion. I mean, diversity and inclusion is really important right now in our industry. We're trying to increase it, improve it. Talk a little bit about diversity and inclusion in your firm at CEG, and how does it play in? What is your philosophy around it? Talk to us about diversity and inclusion.
We live and breathe diversity and inclusion. I'm a woman civil engineer, and now I'm a woman in construction. And so in order to be taken seriously, I had to prove myself a long time ago. And so diversity and inclusion to me means having a fair shot. That's what it comes down to. And I can say with confidence, even as recently as yesterday, I had a discussion with a leader at a very large construction firm, well respected, a friend of our firm. They will continue to be a friend of our firm. But they referred to the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, DBE, or the WBE requirements on a publicly funded project as entitlement. And while I appreciate where they were coming from, because they don't have the same perspective that I do, it is a difficult place to be as a DBE or a WBE and earn respect for a lot of different reasons. Number one, there is this attitude of entitlement. Some of our predecessors in those programs have acted out of an entitlement position. And so that, any bad actors throw a shadow on the next cast, right? But there's also, through diversity and inclusion, I hope there's going to be a new light on the value that people who aren't traditionally in our field can provide, not because they're different, but because they are human and they just need a shot at, a chance. And so diversity and inclusion, I think, starts at our schools so that everyone understands they have an opportunity to succeed regardless of race, color, creed, religion. And I actually personally am not in favor of entitlements or benefits just because you have a difference. But I think somewhere that pendulum had to swing. There was a lack of diversity and inclusion in the field for a long time. The pendulum has to swing way far the other way in order for us to get somewhere in the middle where it's accepted that a firm that might look a little different can provide value, should provide value, is expected to provide value, but they might just need a chance to get started.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, listen, like you said, you're kind of living and breathing this because you're a woman. You are a civil engineer. My wife's a civil engineer, and I know she was one of the few in our graduating class, right? You started a company. You founded the company. You're growing the company. You're in the construction field, which even has probably less women than the engineering field. So, it's great to have a leader like yourself that has gone through that personally and are living that out to be able to instill that to your team. And I think at the end of the day, to me, the idea of diversity is having different perspectives, right, that you can bring to the table for your projects, for your clients, for the community, because the community that we serve as civil engineers is diverse, right? So in order for us to serve a diverse community, we need to have a diverse team. And even going back to how we started this conversation today, even having contractors and engineers at the table together is diversity, right? you're bringing different perspectives to the table.
That's exactly right. And especially civil engineers, we are about improving quality of life. And it's not improving quality of life for any specific group. It is for human beings. And many of us have pets, so we want to improve the quality of life of our animals as well. But civil engineering is about a life-sustaining or life-improving solution provider. And we're very careful in our office. We have a no politics culture, no politics rule, and it's respected by everyone, which takes a lot of drama out, especially this time of year, and as we go into some of the elections, what it comes down to is we can all agree, regardless of our perspectives, regardless of our upbringing, how we look, how we're shaped. We all want clean water. Never did anyone in the world ever say, I want my water dirtier. I don't want to provide my children a safe place to grow up. And so we start there. If we start there as a community, either internally or externally as civil engineers, we can get a lot accomplished, because that is a foundation to grow on right there.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's like building that team mentality. We're in this together. We're focused on a common goal. We're going to have other hobbies and likes that may differ, but when we're here, we're together, we're working together. And I think that's a really good approach. So I want to talk a little bit about some of your extracurricular activities. You are the chairwoman of the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce. You have a position on the board of directors for SAME, the Society of American Military Engineers in Philadelphia Post. Talk about how you balance your responsibilities in these leadership roles with obviously your commitment to CEG. Talk about that for us.
Both of those organizations fulfill my passion to help community. And so they don't feel like extra. They feel like they're intertwined and really a benefit to me and my organization to be a better leader. So the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce is a community focused obviously on commerce, but this particular organization is focused on betterment of the community overall, as well as by providing economic opportunity for businesses and our schools and institutions and nonprofits that are involved. So it integrates seamlessly as far as that in my daily passions. I don't have to put aside who I am on a daily basis to lead that group. SAME, again, that's a lot of my client base. Again, they're about improving life, improving infrastructure. We focus on Department of Defense and our war fighters and providing them a better quality of life and making sure that they have what they need to defend the country. So again, it integrates with my beliefs. So it doesn't feel like extra. But as far as time management, because that's reality, is I just have to put it on my calendar. Not only do I put the meetings on my calendar, but I put the time it takes to prepare for the meetings and do the work I need to do as the chairwoman of the chamber and as a board member in order to provide value. I don't believe in doing anything where I'm not at least helping. I don't have to be the leader of everything. I'm getting better about saying no to things, but I do want to provide some value on a team.
For sure. And I really like what you said there, this idea of like having your own like vision or mission, right? For you, like bettering the community, right? Improving the community that you live in, that you serve. Because then you can do that in many walks of life. At CEG, in your extracurricular work, personally, you can volunteer to do something in the community, right? So I really like that idea of having just some personal vision for yourself. And obviously, as a leader, you're certainly helping to set the course for the company as well, obviously. But I think when you have like that anchor, when you look at what you're putting onto your plate, if it doesn't line up with that, it probably doesn't make sense. Like you said, you don't have to switch off to someone else because all the stuff that you're doing is contributing to that overall vision you have of, I want to better my community, which to me is really like also something that I think is inherent in a lot of civil engineers, quite frankly, because that's what we do.
That's why we do what we do. Absolutely. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that civil engineering professionals. What would you say from your experience and your career to date? What is kind of the number one trait that you think is important for a civil engineering professional to have in the world we live in today?
Adaptability and open-mindedness. And those are two different but similar things. And I can tell you overall for our team, whether we're hiring any level of or seniority of position or any of our different groups that all coordinate together, we look for attitude and aptitude. So we can teach other stuff, but we can't teach someone to have the right attitude and to respect others and to be willing to be open-minded and collaborate. And they have to have the aptitude to learn and certainly humility to learn. So those are that's kind of that's the broad filter that when we're looking to hire is the attitude and aptitude. The rest of it can be taught. I didn't know everything I needed to know coming out of school. I didn't know anything I needed to know, probably. I had my civil engineering degree. I had a master's degree even, and I still, the first day I sat down, felt completely overwhelmed. I thought I didn't know anything. But I had the attitude to learn, humility to work with and ask questions, and I had the drive. So we look for those traits in our team members.
It's great advice. I mean, attitude can't be taught, right? The ability to want to learn and develop yourself can't typically be taught, right? It's having that attitude and then putting that person in the right atmosphere is a wonderful mix, right? So if CEG is the right place and that person has that attitude, you can bring them in there and you can cultivate them and give them the tools that they need to be successful, which it sounds like you've been doing. And so, and kind of along those lines, I have one last question that I want to ask you, April, which is focused around a word that you mentioned earlier, which is culture. I think one of the responsibilities of a leader in any organization is to consider the culture of the organization. And to me, culture is really, do people enjoy coming to work every day, right? That's one way to think about it.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to kind of ask you as a leader at CEG, as the founder, as the CEO, how do you think about culture? How do you work on culture? What can you share with us around your thoughts and your actions around building culture?
Well, something you said resonates with me absolutely, is that people have to want to be here. It has to, there are hard days. It's called work. We know that there's going to be difficult discussions and challenges, but it's my job to set the culture of the company. And that means the physical space has to be safe and invigorating and comfortable but energizing. We have to have those little things that matter. I mean, coffee machines, that kind of stuff. That's important. But I do think that respect and collaboration has really been the foundation of our culture. We can all go out and have a good time together because we respect each other. There's no beef, as far as I know, in the office, and I'm pretty good at ferreting it out. And people will come tell me because it's so rare. We do not have drama, and that's because regardless of the position, literally, and hierarchy or group that people are working with, they have a voice. They are heard. That doesn't mean we listen to or act on everything that we hear, but everyone has a voice and we listen. So that feeling of being part of something, which is really why I started the firm. I wanted to be part of something bigger than myself. It's why it's not named after me. It's going to go on after me. There's a succession plan. And everybody here knows that this isn't April's engineering company. This is all of their engineering company, and they feel that they're part of a team. So we use the word team probably ad nauseum around here, but it is exactly what we're trying to foster here. We wear the uniform, we get out and we play. Sometimes you're on the reserve team, sometimes you're on the special team. Sometimes you get benched, but we're still growing and building towards something bigger together.
Yeah, that's great. And I think what you said earlier really plays into that about like no office politics here, right? Like we're all on the same team. I think that's a huge part of building great culture because people know that they're here to come, they do the work, they're doing the work with people they like, they're doing the work with people they're going to get along with. Even if they have different views outside of work, we're still here with the same mission and the same goal, and we can work on that together. And I do think, to your point from earlier, the leadership of an organization is going to have a big role in setting that standard and, being the example of that standard so that people follow you in that, in having that mentality. So once again, April Barkasi. April is the founder and CEO of Cedarville Engineering Group, known as CEG. April, I want to thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Civil Engineering CEO and sharing a little bit about your company.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed our discussion.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with April. It takes a lot of courage to start a civil engineering firm and grow it, and she's done just that, and she's done a great job, so we were grateful to get to chat with her. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider subscribing to our channel here. We put out videos like this on a weekly basis to help engineers become better managers and leaders. I'll see you next week.